Anthony Bourdain minced garlic, not words. Who'd he call a D-bag, a threat to America, the hellspawn of Kathie Lee and Betty Crocker? We're serving ourselves a slice of Bourdain with a side of piping hot beef. Bourdain embarked on his Close to the Bone tour in 2015, and he wasn't shy about throwing shade at other famous chefs. He took aim at a number of Food Network stars, and Guy Fieri got burned pretty hard. Bourdain mused, "I sort of feel in a heartfelt way for Guy. I wonder about him. He's 52 years old and still rolling around in the flame outfit. What does he do? How does Guy Fieri de-douche?" Fieri, who was actually still in his 40s at the time, had a few thoughts on the matter. He told GQ a few months later, "I don't like him making fun of people, and I don't like him talking shit. And he's never talked shit to my face. It's just, what are you doing? What is your instigation? You have nothing else to worry about than if I have bleached hair or not? I mean,
I said, how about I make you a knuckle sandwich, Dirty?"
Bourdain defended himself, later telling People, "The day you can't tell jokes about Guy Fieri, comedy as we know it is dead." Rachael Ray is one of the brightest stars on the Food Network, but according to Bourdain, her show 30-Minute Meals sets the bar way too low. As he blogged in 2007, she's selling us satisfaction, the smug reassurance that mediocrity is quite enough. She's a friendly, familiar face who appears regularly on our screens to tell us that even your dumb, lazy ass can cook this. Bourdain took aim at Ray again later that year, accusing her of crossing the line with her promotion of junk food. As he told Outside Magazine, "It's like endorsing crack for kids. Juvenile diabetes has exploded. Half of Americans don't have necks. And she's up there saying, eat some f***ing Dunkin' Donuts. You look great in that swimsuit. Eat another donut. That's evil."
Don't hold it against me.
Reps for Ray responded in a statement via Page 6, "We respectfully disagree with Anthony's opinion. Anyone who knows Rachael and watches her on TV is aware she promotes balance and moderation, instead of living life in extremes." No one can deny that chef and restaurateur Wolfgang Puck has been an icon in the global food scene for decades. Not even Anthony Bourdain. He recognized Puck's influence, telling Playboy in 2011 that the Austrian chef didn't even need to be on TV to be famous. But according to Bourdain, Puck sold out when he put his name on everything. Bourdain said, "Listen, I'm not eating in his pizza restaurants. I think it's bullshit, and it breaks my heart to see him on QVC or whatever. But the fact is, he paid his dues. He's an important guy. If Wolfgang Puck wants to open crappy pizzerias in airports all over America, that's fucking fine."
He always thinks he's such a good cook.
Despite the shade, there always remained a mutual respect. When Bourdain died, Puck praised him, telling The Week, "Enjoying a moment with great food is the most important part of life. Anthony did an amazing job of showcasing this." Bourdain once said that he was hesitant to trash a, quote, nice old lady, but he threw a bunch of shade at celebrity chef Paula Deen anyway. He went to town on Deen and her shows, blogging in 2007, a recent Hawaii show was indistinguishable from an early John Waters film, and the food on a par with the last scene of Pink Flamingos. For those unfamiliar with Waters' cult hit, the ending involves dog poop. But Bourdain's criticism of Deen's Southern cuisine got a lot more personal over the years. As he told TV Guide in 2011, she's proud of the fact that her food is fucking bad for you. The worst, most dangerous person to America is clearly Paula Deen. I would think twice before telling an already obese nation that it's okay to eat food that is killing us. Plus, her food sucks.
Butter Wranglers!
Deen responded by telling Page 6 that Bourdain should, quote, get a life. But the reaction from her fans was swift. Bourdain told Rolling Stone, "I received a lot of scary mail and Facebook posts. It was the first time I've ever been frightened." In 2016, Bourdain chowed down in Vietnam with then-President Barack Obama. The two men were good friends, but Bourdain had nothing nice to say about Obama's successor. When asked if he would ever consider dining with Donald Trump, he told The Wrap, "I would give the same answer that I would have given 10 years ago, when he was just as loathsome." In what would become his final interview in 2018, Bourdain claimed he was just waiting for someone to give Trump a good dressing down. He said via Popula, "Somebody at the White House press briefing has to sacrifice their job and say, 'You utter piece of shit. Do you really expect us to swallow that steaming load of horse shit? How do you live with yourself? You should be ashamed. Give me one guy to throw themselves on a fire like that for that infinitely repeatable meme."
It's not personal. It's just business.
That's a mafia thing, but you know.
It's all right.
When news of Bourdain's death reached the White House, then President Trump offered his condolences to the family, saying in a statement, "I think it's very sad. I enjoyed his show. He was quite a character, I will say." Sandra Lee won a Daytime Emmy for her Food Network show Semi-Homemade in 2012, and by then, Bourdain had made his opinion on her cooking crystal clear. Lee's approach involves incorporating a lot of store-bought goods rather than fresh ingredients. It supposedly saves hours and money, but as the New York Times noted, a number of recipes from her cookbooks save neither thing. For his part, Bourdain once described Lee as pure evil. This frightening hellspawn of Kathy Lee and Betty Crocker seems on a mission to kill her fans one meal at a time.
We're going to make fruit cocktail trifle.
Bourdain often referenced Lee's infamous Kwanzaa cake episode, which offended many and went viral for all the wrong reasons. As he told Eat Me Daily in 2009, "Watch that clip and tell me your eyeballs don't burst into flames. It's a war crime on television. You'll scream." But Lee didn't take Bourdain's comments to heart. When he died in 2018, she paid tribute to him, tweeting, "He was a gifted, smart, articulate man, and even though he could be incredibly critical, especially of me, somehow that was part of his charm." Bourdain brutally roasted Adam Richman, best known as the Down-for-Anything host of Man vs. Food. On the show, Richman traveled to different restaurants to attempt their supersized eating challenges, and Bourdain revealed that he saw people watching Richman's show during visits to the Middle East. He said during his 2015 tour, the show confirmed their worst suspicions, that Americans are fat, lazy, slothful, wasteful. "I know what he's thinking. America is a terrible place. I want to join ISIS." In 2012, Richman claimed that he and Bourdain were actually friends, but he criticized him for being too bitter at times. As he told Food Republic, "Lord knows he definitely has strong opinions about a lot of the shit I do." During a 2021 interview with Mashed, he admitted that some of Bourdain's comments cut deep. In 2011, Bourdain had joked with David Letterman that viewers tuned into Man vs. Food because they wanted to see Richman, quote, "choke on that burger and die." But according to Richman, when Bourdain was confronted about the comments, he actually apologized and offered some words of wisdom to Richman. Bourdain had nothing but good things to say about Gordon Ramsay's cooking, but he wasn't a fan of the chef's most famous show. Bourdain said at a 2008 event, "Gordon's actually a really sweet, nice guy. I hate Hell's Kitchen. I thought that show was so bad."
They got a brilliant mentor. Me.
But Bourdain would change his opinion on Ramsay's nice guy status in 2012, when it emerged that Ramsay had attempted to trademark spotted pig in the UK. It was already the name of an existing stateside restaurant developed by chef April Bloomfield. Bourdain tweeted that Gordon Ramsay would register the name Spotted Pig in London and screw April Bloomfield, who built the brand, over is shameful, pathetic. As Eater reported, 3 months after submitting the trademark application, Ramsay withdrew it. And according to 60 Minutes, the New York Spotted Pig closed for good in 2020. Upon Bourdain's passing in 2018, Ramsay tweeted, "Stunned and saddened by the loss of Anthony Bourdain. He brought the world into our homes and inspired so many people to explore cultures and cities through their food." While Bourdain heaped praise on other respected chefs in his 2010 book, Medium Raw, he wouldn't offer the same to one French culinary master. He wrote, "Alain Ducasse, on the other hand, is a villain, because he almost single-handedly brought down fine dining in America with his absurdly pretentious restaurant, Alain Ducasse, New York. To use an egregiously overused expression, 80 NY was where fine dining jumped the shark. The eatery opened to much fanfare, but the prices turned people off. At the time, Ducasse said, 'If people will not accept this price, we will go elsewhere.' In 2007, his namesake eatery shuttered for good. As for the reason why, Bourdain wrote, he rolled into New York with his bad attitude, ungracious proclamations of how exclusive his new place would be, how unwelcome New Yorkers might be if they were not already acquainted with himself via Monaco or Paris. Ducasse's flagship location would never shake its bad rep. According to the Robb Report, it became the restaurant New Yorkers loved to hate. Bourdain always had a love-hate relationship with Alice Waters, founder of the farm-to-table restaurant Chez Panisse. While he agreed with her on a lot of points, he found her condescending in her approach. He told NPR, "She's just so spectacularly tone-deaf and constantly saying the wrong thing that she's a polarizing figure for a cause that should be, in the best-case scenario, sort of a ground-up grassroots kind of a movement." There's an entire chapter about Waters in Medium Raw, where Bourdain calls her out for cooking an egg over a wood fire on 60 Minutes. He wrote, "I don't know about you, but burning up a couple of cords of firewood for a single fucking egg doesn't exactly send a message of sustainability." Bourdain also claimed that Waters doesn't seem to have ever gotten her hands dirty in the kitchen. He added, "After reading all the accounts, official and unofficial, of Alice's career and the history of Chez Panisse, I can't find a single supporting source to verify she was ever a chef." Waters paid tribute to Bourdain in 2018, telling ABC7 he introduced the chefs and validated that person's work, and he did this around the world. Bourdain and Emeril Lagasse were good friends at the end of Bourdain's life, but that wasn't always the case. Bourdain called the TV chef Ewok-like in his memoir Kitchen Confidential, referring to him as, quote, "fuzzy little Emeril." 7 years later, Bourdain admitted in a blog post that his opinion on Lagasse had softened, but added, "I still find him unwatchable. As much mileage as I've gotten over the years making fun of Emeril, he deserves a lot more respect than I've given him." By the time he wrote Medium Raw, Bourdain had come to understand Lagasse's business strategy a little better. But when the pair co-hosted the roast of Mario Batali, Bourdain wanted to know why Lagasse didn't just retire and live out his days enjoying his fortune. Bourdain recalled, "I asked him why he gave a fuck. He smiled tolerantly, then began listing all the people who'd helped him along the way, and who now relied on him, in one form or another, for their living." Lagasse paid tribute to Bourdain following his death, tweeting, "I'm shocked and extremely saddened by the tragic loss of such an inspiring man. Tony was a great soul, a mentor, a friend, a father, and an incredible chef. If you or anyone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK 8255.